Welcome back to TW Garage. Today we'll be installing seat belts in the dirty coupe. I'm back in the dirty coupe. I have to apologize. I already started on removing or installing the seat belts, and I'm partway through the job before I actually started recording. And I apologize. I do have the rear seat out of the car. My biggest problem here is I got brand new seat belts from LMR in black, really nice units. And my biggest problem is bolts. Okay, now on some things I just refuse to spend money on. Yeah, you could buy brand new seatbelt bolts, but they want pretty much $10 a piece for them. And yeah, my cheap butt has an issue with that. I took out the rear seat. I did find 3 factory bolts. They're for the rear seat belts, but they'll still screw in for the front here. And I'm going to use those. And I already went to the hardware store and bought me some bolts. Those 5 bolts there still cost me $7. I can't believe the prices on things anymore. Those should never be that dang high. But I'm already installing the first seat belt. Now these are the 79 to I believe 89 replacement seat belts from LMR. They do get rid of the little, I don't even know what the heck you call it. You open up the door, it's supposed to retract your seat belt. Back when they were new, yeah, they kind of worked, but they kind of got rid of that on the new seat belts. But they did send, hold on a second, I don't have them over here. They did send these little rubber grommets that's going to fit in those holes and plug those holes for us. So if you get the new seatbelt kit from LMR, you do have to assemble the plastic on these. Wasn't too bad. All I did is I run a long zip tie down through, and I end up just pulling them through. They are a little tight, but I think they'll look nice when they're in there. I'm not really going for looks, but the car didn't have seat belts, so need to add those. So these plugs here, actually I'll go ahead and install one just to show you, because I'm sure somebody out there hasn't seen them. Oh, and the seatbelt kit does come with 3 Torx bits. The other one's on my ratchet. I dropped that. In my other car, it's a 81, and it doesn't have seat belts. It has 5-point harnesses. So that's that plug. And this plug should fit in here like that, and looks pretty nice. So anybody who's got a Fox body who's missing those, LMR does sell little grommets you can push in there to plug the hole up. Makes it look decent. All right, back on the install here. Went ahead and installed one of those factory bolts that I had already. I need to put the final torque on that, but I pulled my panel back, took the screws out, and it sits in there. It just got one bolt that holds it in, and then I'm gonna have to end up running this up to the top, bolting that. And then that bottom piece there goes to the floor. Should be fairly simple. Alright, got that finally torqued. looks like there's a plastic piece on this. I'm not sure if I can pop that with my fingers. Oops. There's a little grommet in there. Huh. Okay, so let that be a, there's a little plastic grommet up in this one. Probably keep it from rattling. It popped out when I flipped that. Huh. Didn't know that. Learn something new every day. One thing I do know about the stock bolts is they have a shoulder on them. And these new bolts I have, and the rear seat bolts, they don't have that shoulder on them, so this might require a spacer. I'll have to test fit it just to see, because I'm pretty sure it's just going to tighten it up against the plastic if I don't have a spacer in there. It's just going to tighten down. That'll work. That'll work. It still moves. Okay. So that will bottom out and tighten up. That bolt there didn't have a shoulder on it. Like I said, I'd use the factory bolts, but this car didn't have them. Down there I'll just use, but I did go to the hardware store and I bought me some new bolts. They are, I'm not sure if I went over the size, they are 7/16 by 20 if anybody's looking. I believe you get them about 1.5 inches long, and that should work. Sure if you guys can even see me. It's really hard to set a camera up in this Fox body. Biggest thing is you want to make sure you got everything oriented the correct direction, or you'll have to unload everything. One thing I did notice, guys, is if you don't have those shouldered bolts, these are the factory bolts, but they were for the rear seat belts, and they don't have that extra shoulder on them. So if you're going to run regular bolts or the ones that don't have a shoulder on them, face your seat belt facing toward the front. Otherwise, this will be facing the wrong direction when you put a seat belt on. Not really going to be a problem with this car. I don't see me giving anybody joy rides in the back seat of this thing. I'm married, so I don't do stuff like that anymore, but that should work. And then, you know, this is all, I can undo everything here and do it with the correct bolts once I find them. That's no big deal. But so I'd let you know that when you don't have the shouldered bolts, when you go to tighten them up, they will hold where you have them. And again, I think the only problem I'm going to see is if there's someone trying to get in the back seat, this here is facing forward and they can't flip it back. Again, not a big deal for what I'm doing. Definitely a lot safer than driving around with no seatbelt. Okay, again, this is the LMR seatbelt. I did have to put the covers on. They sent everything, but you have to assemble the piece yourself. You just want to make sure you got your seat belt facing the correct direction before you assemble this, or you'll have to redo it again. And on the Fox body, see how that's curved? You want it kind of facing toward the seat here. And if these are all busted on your car, you know how big of a pain in the butt it is to put your seat belt on. So this makes it nice, and that bolt is right up there. I'm going to use the one of the bolts I got from the hardware store on this. And since this one don't have a shoulder on it, I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay straight up, which is fine by me. Huh. I think this is a little easier to get to when you don't have carpet. This one still moves. Must not have bottomed that bolt out. Might be on some new threads. That still moves. Alright. Kind of hoping it didn't. I might need some spacers on that. It's probably because the carpet's not there. Yeah, I still got some threads showing here on the inside, so I might try to find me a spacer. Put in that. Otherwise, I'm gonna be chasing this seat belt every time I get in the car. All right, I've found a spacer. I'm hoping it'll work. Now, I'll probably, if I can't find a spacer, I'm not going to worry about it on the passenger seat. They can deal with it. They'll suffer. But here's what I got found. Just a little spacer. I'm hoping that'll take up that room to where that bolt will actually tighten up against it and lock it a little bit. So I won't have to chase this this cover around. Let's try this again with the spacer on there. I'll get started now. There we go. There we go. It's going to add a little tension to that, so it don't flop all over the place. Tight. There we go. So it's got a little flex to it because of the nylon, but it's actually squeezing it. Shouldn't fall over. It'll go about that far. I'm gonna tighten it up just a little bit more. Alright, that should be tight. Alright guys, this seatbelt's almost installed. Just gotta get my screws back in and then move on to the next one. I'll tell you what guys, it's not real hot today, but that humidity's up there. It's got me sweating. I'll tell you what, I got a couple of these little Milwaukee M18 fans. One's blowing on me right now. It's a lifesaver. Now your car may not be set up like this. You're gonna have, you know, a few extra things in the road, I'm sure. This car's missing a lot of stuff. Makes it a little easier to work on, not gonna lie. Oh, what happened there? That screw got real tight. I think it's the same. Not sure if I put the right screw in the right hole. They all look the same. Yeah, they're all the same, so I don't know. I don't know. That hole got up real tight on me. Well, it'd be nice to be able to drive this thing with a seatbelt and 4-wheel disc brakes. Something's just not right with that screw. There she finally goes. I don't know. Started off really tight and then she tightened up. Alright. So, driver's side seatbelt is installed. That's going to be different. I've drove this thing a few times without seatbelt. Didn't feel right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start on the passenger side here in a second. Okay, we are on the passenger side, and I have less room over here because I didn't park the car in the center. So it's up against my one of my little shelves over here. So I'm going to try to do what I did to the last one. I want to remove these. Well, don't have that third screw. May not be a bad thing. Look at that. Well, that should be easy. Again, you want all this stuff oriented in the right spot. And the last time I did this over there, I didn't have this little piece that goes up here on this side when I fished it through this plastic. So I already learned a lesson on that one. Let's see. Go like this. Flip that over. Then this plastic separates right there. You fish it through. Alright, looks like I got her. And on this side I'm going to use the hardware bolts. Again, I just don't see spending. There's 4 bolts and they wanted 40 bucks. So $10 a bolt. I live pretty much 2 houses down from a hardware store, so I'll just walk down there and get me hardware when I need it. To get that started. I think it's been a while since this thing had anything in it. If you can see, I don't have enough threads on that. That's long-winded. Tight. Alright, so that's that piece. Hook up against here. Ah, new seat belt's dirty. Alright, yeah, I see that plastic there now. I kind of wish I didn't pop them on there. Okay. Another bolt. Still rotates. I'd say you definitely want this to rotate just a little bit. That way, if it's whoever's in the seat, there we go. Should be okay. That piece. That should work. On to this one. Not sure if you guys can see this one down here. I hope you guys can see. Again, this will probably tighten up just like that other one. So I'm probably going to face it forward so that way it's not irking the passenger, whoever's in the seat. You know, I'm not going to tighten that up just yet because once that's sitting up here, then I gotta fight it to get this other one on. So we're just gonna jump on this last one. There we go. Got that one in. There we go. That way it won't flop between the seats. I went ahead and found a spacer for that one too. Why not? I had it. That's why I say don't throw away your nuts and bolts and your extra hardware, because you can use it for other projects like this one. Alright, and the last thing to do is put these screws back. Then I'm going to put the rear seat. The rear seat's not bolted in, but it does kind of snap in. I'll find that hole. There she is. Yeah, I went ahead and went with the black seat belts just cause black goes with everything. And I just doubled the value of the car, I believe. Alright. And then you guys are gonna let me forget this one, wouldn't you? I'll tighten this one. And then And like I said, without them shorter bolts, I'm going to go ahead and face that up toward the front. Alright, got the back seat back in. There's only one last thing to do is try that seatbelt out. Ooh, she's locking. Ah, it's one of those. So any quick movement, she does lock, but you do nice smooth. Cut it in. There we go. Seatbelt installed. I feel much safer already. Alright, got to get this video wrapped up and on to the next project. So until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.